If you want cheap Microsoft points and game codes, check out g2a.com, links in the description below.
Hey guys, it's Melvin7 here, and today I'm bringing you my BPL predictions for Matchday 18. Now, the Mystery C is beating me by 10 points now. It is 50-40. So this episode, I'm literally going to say what I think. I'm not going to try and predict the surprise results, etc. I'm going to literally think exactly what is going to happen, if that makes any sense. So, let's get into this. So, the first game is Spurs versus my team, Manchester United. So, this is going to be a great game. Spurs coming off the back of a 2-1 win against Leicester. I'm really not sure how Leicester didn't get any points. They should have had a pen late on, but they were just pressing and pressing. And if it wasn't for the brilliance of Harry Kane and Christian Eriksen, Spurs probably wouldn't have won. I watched that on Match of the Day, by the way. I didn't watch that live because my game was on at the same time. Whereas my team beat Newcastle 3-1, and it was a pretty convincing result. You know, Falcao played well, he got an assist, made some crucial interceptions, 100% pass accuracy. Mata got an assist, Rooney got 2 goals and an assist, RVP scored. You know, it was just a defence that looked a bit shaky, but hopefully Chris Smalling might be back instead of Johnny Evans, or we could use Tyler Blackett, I suppose, because Johnny Evans' distribution, especially in a 3-5-2 system, which we've got to use because of Valencia and Young, as Van Gaal confirmed. When Shaw and Raphael are fully fit, I don't think we'll be using that. I think we'll revert back to the diamond. But for this game, obviously Di Maria's injured, etc. We are away at White Hart Lane, but Spurs have been pretty poor at home this season. And to be honest, if we can keep Kane and Eriksen quiet, there's not really a great amount of threat, unless, you know, Lamela does something out of the ordinary like he sometimes does. But for me, I'm going to say a 2-1 result for Manchester United. I do think Harry Kane will get on the score sheet, but I think we'll just have too much for them, and I'm going to say 2-1. In the next game, we've got Southampton up against Chelsea. Now, Southampton just beat Crystal Palace 3-1. By the way, Neil Warnock has been sacked as of today. So, you know, he's the Crystal Palace manager, if you didn't know. So, obviously, that was a great result for Southampton. Chelsea, very convincing, 2-0 against West Ham. And this one's going to be a hard one to call. Southampton, for the second game in a row, have scored 3. They won 3-0 in their last game against Everton, and now they've beat Crystal Palace away from home 3-1. Very convincing performance, same as Chelsea's was against West Ham. Now, Chelsea, I don't think have any suspensions or injuries to note. Southampton, I don't think do either, but Chelsea are just so strong, and Mourinho will probably get his tactics right. As much as I do want to say a draw, I've got to say a Chelsea win. Last time I said a draw against West Ham, that backfired. So this time I'm going to say a 2-1 result to Chelsea. The next game we've got Villa taking on Sunderland. Sunderland got beat 3-1 off Hull City. Decent performance by Hull. Sunderland were winning, but they let it slip. And Aston Villa lost 1-0 to Swansea, but they drew 1-1 against us the game before. Now, Villa are at home, so I think that's going to be the advantage. They were at home when they drew with us. They're pretty solid there. They might get their tactics right. Benteke might get back on the score sheet. Swansea deserve to get a win for all of their recent performances where they've lost, to be honest. So, for me, Sunderland are just iffy, right? They can defend well one game, and then the next game they can just go to shit like they did against Hull. So for me, I'm going to say 1-0 Aston Villa. I think Sunderland's defence is pretty good, but I think Villa just have too much for them, and I'm going to say 1-0 Villa. The next game we've got Hull up against Leicester. Now obviously both of these teams lost, so they'll be looking to bounce back, especially Leicester, because they did put in one of their best performances of the season in my opinion, ever since their win against us. So they're going to want to win, but they are away at Hull. Hull, I just said lost. Obviously, they beat Sunderland 3-1. Sorry about that. So, yeah, they're going to be on a high, really, to be honest. The confidence is going to be flowing. But Leicester do want to fight back, and they do need to get some points for relegation. So, for that matter, I'm going to say it's going to be 1-1 Hull versus Leicester, because I do think Leicester will take some great positives from that performance, and they're going to be determined to try and get off the bottom. But I'm going to say they're going to get a draw in this, basically. The next game is City up against Burnley. Now, Manchester City have been playing fantastically well. When they were 3-0 up, though, they did last against West Brom, and West Brom had so many chances. I mean, if you look at the Manchester United versus Liverpool game, Liverpool had 18 chances and Man United were lucky to win. West Brom had 18 chances against City and City were absolutely tremendous. So, you know, it just goes to show you, basically, the same amount of shots as Liverpool, yet United lucky, City amazing. City were amazing for the first 50 minutes, and then they lasped. And they just got complacent, and Pellegrini was going mad at them. Obviously there was a snow blizzard, etc. But West Ham could and probably should have scored a few more. But City got the win, that's the important thing. They scored 2 in 12 minutes, and obviously David Silva got back on the score sheet, so I've added him into my fantasy league since Aguero's not back. Burnley, on the other hand, lost 1-0 to Liverpool. It was a very, very dull game, to be honest. The most exciting thing that happened was Mignolet trying to kick the ball when it was already out of play. So yeah, Burnley were at home there, and Burnley just rely far too heavily on Danny Ings. Probably more than any other team do they rely on one player. It is absolutely ridiculous. So for me, this is going to be a mauling from City. As much as I don't want it to be, and as much as I hope I'm wrong, I'm going to have to say 4-0. Honestly, City, when they click, they're just fantastic, and that's coming from a United fan. I don't want to say that, but it's true. Anyway, QPR versus Crystal Palace is the next game. Crystal Palace lost 3-1. Now they're without a manager, so this is going to be a big point. QPR, their home form compared to their away form is ridiculous. Their away form, they haven't picked up anything. They lost 2-1 to Arsenal. Their home form, however, has been stunning. So for that reason, and because Crystal Palace have not got a manager anymore, I'm going to say 3-1 QPR. Next game is Stoke versus West Brom. Now, this game is going to be fairly weird. Stoke, very good win against Everton. They were very good defensively, and they won 1-0 away from home. Whereas West Brom were beaten 3-1 by City, but could have scored a few more. So, this is going to be one of those games that's hard to predict again. Stoke are at the Britannia, but they don't usually sit back against teams of a similar level to them, like West Brom are. So, this could be more open than most people would think. So I'm going to say 2-2. Solely because the threats of like Bojan for Stoke, etc. Then West Brom, I think Berahino will get on the score sheet. He was unlucky not to against City. You know, I think it's going to be quite a high scoring affair. So I'm going to say 2-2. The next game is West Ham against Arsenal. Now, Sam Allardyce rested Alex Song for the Chelsea game. Probably because 2 days later, he was playing Arsenal. Now, against Chelsea, as soon as Alex Song came up, they looked so much more defensively stable and created some opportunities. Chelsea obviously were all over them. But they also rested Diafra Sakho. Now he is a massive goal threat, whereas Arsenal are now without Giroud. Welbeck hasn't scored in a while. I think he's averaging 1 goal every 5 games. You can't keep relying on Alexis Sanchez to do the business. He missed a penalty, then scored a header, and then assisted for Riziki, whatever you want to call him. So, Arsenal for me, especially since this one's away, isn't it? Yes, it is. It is away. So, West Ham, for me, Sam Allardyce rested his players for this game, and now Arsenal are without Giroud, who is their second biggest goal threat for me. So, I'm going to predict, maybe a surprise for some people, but maybe not looking at the table. I'm going to say West Ham are going to win this 3-2. Generally, I think that it's going to be a very open game. Even though West Ham are usually good defensively, they're going to try and attack Arsenal from the off. They're going to get a couple of goals, and then Arsenal will come back full force, and they'll get a couple, but West Ham will win. That's my opinion. 3-2. The next game is Newcastle up against Everton. Now, Newcastle really need to get some points. They've been beaten 4 times in a row. They've done that this season before, and then they went on a 5-win streak. So, this could be the turning point for them, because Everton have been piss poor. They lost against Stoke, they lost against Southampton, they're in the bottom half of the table. If this is a game where you could class it as a difficult game and a game to get your season running, it's Everton basically, because Everton, I just don't know what's wrong with them. They're far too attackive at the minute. Fullbacks, Baines and Coleman, as good as they are, they're getting forward far too much, which is Martinez, obviously his tactics. So, Newcastle, I think Tiote is back. They've still got Jack Annick in net, though. He's gaining a bit of BPL experience. He looked decent against us, I'm not going to lie. They've got the threat of Perez, Sissoko, etc. But it depends if they're going to keep lofting balls through to Perez, whether they can score. Everton, on the other hand, will want to bounce back, and this is a difficult one to call. But I'm going to say Newcastle are going to edge it, just because they've lost 4 before. in a season, and then they've won 5 in a row straight after that, and Everton haven't exactly been great, so I'm going to say 2-1 Newcastle. In the last game, Liverpool are up against Swansea. Now, Liverpool got a boring 1-0 draw against Burnley. Swansea, 1-0 win against Aston Villa at home. Neither game were tremendous. Sigurdsson scored a lovely free kick, and it was a lovely goal for Liverpool. I'm not going to take that away. That was brilliant from Coutinho, straight into Sterling, who rounded the keeper and slotted it in. Now, this is going to be a very interesting game. Swansea have been incredible in recent games, but they've lost. Liverpool have been decent in games, and they've also lost. So, this one's going to be a very difficult one to predict. I mean, Swansea probably will fear the pace of what Liverpool have, like especially with Coutinho and Sterling, seeming as though they're forming a good partnership with Lallana and Markovic in there, thrown in there. There's a lot of pace in the team, but Swansea have a lot of quality. Boney, I'm not sure if he's injured or ineligible. I'm not entirely sure. I literally probably should have checked this before, but Sigurdsson's firing on all cylinders. You know, this is going to be a pretty open game, and for me, I think Swansea are going to edge it. I'm going to say 2-1 to Swansea. Now, I'll compare the Mystery Seas results against mine as I always do, and hopefully I can pull some points back this week. Right, so looking at them side by side, there's a lot of similar results as this week you probably expect. One noticeable one that neither of us will probably want to come true is the City 4-0 we've both predicted City to beat Burnley by. He's also said that Man United will win, same as me, as well as obviously he's predicted Chelsea to win. Villa, we've got the same result. Hull Leicester though, we've got a bit different. I've said draw, whereas he said Hull will win. QPR, same result, different scoreline. Stoke, I've said will draw, he said they will win. West Ham and Arsenal, he said they will draw, I've said West Ham will win. Newcastle, I've said Newcastle will win, whereas he's went with Everton. And Liverpool, we've both said will lose against Swansea, different scores though. So one score that's the same, a fair few results that are different completely, and a few that are the same but different results. So yeah, this one's kind of mixed. Hopefully I can pull some points back, and hopefully you do enjoy.